led by Honorable Chief Minister. So, just to give you a little background, the Finance Commission's mandate is principally about the division of union revenue between the center and the states, and then dividing the state share among the 28 states. The way it works is the following. I think you are.
It's okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay. There are certain taxes that go directly to the states. For example, state GST, any taxes that the state levies on petroleum and petroleum products, taxes on alcohol. These are the taxes that are levied and collected by the states, and they go directly to the states. There are also certain taxes which go directly to the central government. Not many, but there are a few. One, anything that is due to the union territories goes to the central government. Then there are certain cesses and surcharges which the central government may levy, and they also go directly to the central government's budget, or what we call the consolidated fund of India. There is a large number of remaining taxes, union taxes, including such taxes as the personal income tax, corporate profit tax, custom duties, center's share in the GST, so CGST and its share in IGST. All these tax revenues, which is really the large part of the nation's taxes, goes into a common pool, which is called the divisible pool. This is the divisible pool which has to be divided between the center and the states, and then among the states. Every 5 years, the Finance Commission is appointed, and its mandate usually is to make a recommendation for a 5-year period how these taxes should be divided between the center and states. So that's called the vertical devolution. What percentage of the divisible pool should go to the center and what percentage to the states. So 15th Finance Commission's recommendation was that 41% should go to the states, 59% to the center. So this is called the vertical devolution. Vertical devolution leading to 41% share of the states. Then this state share, this 41%, is divided among the 28 states using a set of criteria about which I will talk briefly in a minute. And that is called the horizontal devolution. So that is about the division of the state's share among the 28 states. That's horizontal devolution. Then the third task of the Finance Commission is also to make recommendations on some local body grants, both urban and rural. So PRIs, the Panchayati Raj institutions, as well as the urban local body ULBs. To that, certain grants are recommended by the Finance Commission. These grants come from the central government's budget or the consolidated fund of India. These are not coming out of the divisible pool. Similarly, the Commission is also asked to make recommendations on the disaster relief and disaster management, and these also come from the consolidated fund of India. Occasionally, if the Finance Commission sees the need for it, it can also make some state-specific recommendations for some state-specific grants, as well as some sector-specific grants. So these could be for education, something like that. So all of the grants basically come from the consolidated fund of India. That is PDR. Now, in terms of horizontal devolution, that is clearly something that is of the greatest interest to the states. The recommendations, there are certain recommendations that were made by the 15th Finance Commission, and then each state now is telling 16th Finance Commission how that division should be done. And in a minute I come to that. But first a little bit about our own work of the 16th Finance Commission. 16th Finance Commission started its work in mid-February, and one of the very important tasks of the Commission is to consult the stakeholders very widely. This obviously includes very intense consultation with each of the state governments, and the Commission visits each state. We have visited in the past 16 other states, and Tripura is our 17th state. After this, we will have 11 more states to visit. The consultation also includes consultations with all the major ministries of the Government of India. Each of these entities also gives the Commission a memorandum, which includes an analysis of the finances and some recommendations what it would like the Finance Commission to do. So, on behalf of the central government, the Finance Ministry will be giving us a memorandum as well. Our consultation also is done with the experts, so that we have done that, countrywide. We went to 4 or 5 different cities where then, we invited the specialists from 4 or 5 states each, thereby covering all 28 states. We also consult the previous finance commissions. We have consulted the finance commission chairs of 12, 13, 14, and 15, last 4 commissions. Anybody, any eminent persons, we try to seek out and actively seek advice. But in principle, anybody can give its thoughts and advice to the commissioners. Our website makes the provision, and if you go there, there will be a link you will find where you can put up your where you can leave your suggestions, and this gets read by the commission very regularly. Okay, so this is all about what the commission's job is and what this commission has been doing. Our mandate will end on October 31st, 2025, meaning this year, by which time we are required to submit the report to the President, and then the President makes a decision on the acceptance or rejection of the recommendations. Normally, as far as vertical devolution and horizontal devolution are concerned, the recommendations in the past 15, of the past 15 commissions have been accepted in complete total as made. Today we had a very detailed meeting with the Government of Tripura, with Chief Minister, Finance Minister, Chief Secretary, some cabinet members, and some senior secretaries being present. We started with remarks by the Chief Secretary, remarks by myself, and then we had a very detailed presentation with probably close to 100 slides by the Finance Secretary of Tripura government. Then we had certain questions, follow-up queries, comments, etc., to which then secretaries responded, and we closed with final remarks by the Chief Minister. Mainly, in terms of the general trend, the finances of Tripura, as presented, are in sound condition, and the Commission appreciated that the debt to GDP ratio has been on the decline. Its committed expenditures, which generally include pension, salaries, and interest payments on the debt, have also been on the decline. So there is a good sign. It's indicative of sound financial management. On the substance of it, the area of interest is how the how the government of Tripura would like the 16th Finance Commission to do the horizontal devolution. And on that I will just give you some details. So I will compare for you what the 15th Finance Commission did, which is the current division. So the award period of 15th Finance Commission was from 2020-21 to 25-26. So usually it's for 5 years, but because of COVID and all, this was done. It was 6 years. They submitted one report which applied for 2021 and then for 2022 to 25-26. So I take the horizontal devolution that the 15th Finance Commission recommended as the base and compare that to what the government of Tripura has now suggested regarding what 16th should do. So based on population, 15th Finance Commission said 15% of the state's share should be divided based on that. So if Tripura has certain share in the population of the total population of the 28 states, then 15% of the divisible pool would be then divided, will be awarded to Tripura based on that share, for the population share. Similarly, 15 had area which it gave 15% weight, which means that 15% of the divisible pool was divided based on the share in the national geographical area of the 28 states. For population, the Tripura government said reduce that weight from 15 to 10%. For area, Tripura government said reduce that weight from 15 to 5%. As you know, Tripura is a state with very small share in nationally. It is the third smallest state. So therefore, when you do it by area, it doesn't get a whole lot out of it. So its recommendation on that expectation, I believe, is to reduce the weight of area from 15 to 5%. On forest and ecology, the 15th Finance Commission had given a weight of 10%, meaning 10%, it divided 10% of the divisible pool based on the share in forest of any given state. Tripura government's recommendation is that there should be increased to 20%. And once again, this is coming from the fact that Tripura actually has a very large forest area. Almost 70% of Tripura's total area is covered by forest. On income distance, now a very important objective of the Finance Commission devolutions has always been some form of equity. The underlying philosophy is that every state should roughly be able to be in a position to provide similar levels of economic and social services, meaning education, health, etc. And so there is an effort by this successive finance commissions to redistribute the revenue in favor of poorer states which are not able to raise their own revenues, meaning states with lower per capita income. Tripura possibly falls among the states whose per capita income is below the national average, so it benefits from that criterion. And so it has recommended that the share of income distance criterion be increased from 45% to 50%. You can see that traditionally income distance has been given a lot of weight, generally 40 to 45%, 50% also perhaps has been given by one of the previous finance commissions. So this equalization is a very important consideration that has guided the past finance commission's recommendations. There is also 15 had given some small weight, 2.5% to tax effort, to fiscal effort, that how much effort are the states themselves making to raising their own tax revenues. Then the 15th Finance Commission also gave 12.5% weight to the demographic performance, meaning what the indicator they use there was the total fertility rate. That is meaning how much you are able to lower the rate of growth of population. The indicator for that being total fertility rate. That's what 12.5%. Tripura's recommendation is that that should be given a weight of only 5%. Now, lastly, Tripura has added, suggested two criteria of its own. So it has said use the index of infrastructure, give 5% weight to that, and use international border as another criterion and give 5% weight to that. These are both criteria which in the past, to my knowledge, have not been used by any of the finance commissions. But this is the pitch by Tripura that they should be included. So this is the overall picture in horizontal devolution. And then there was discussion, obviously, also of local bodies. The commission also visited last evening at a panchayat in the vicinity of Agartala, which was very impressed. We spent more than 2 hours there, and we had very fruitful discussions there. But there were some recommendations on local bodies, and likewise there were also some recommendations on the disaster relief. So that is the overall description of the discussion this morning we had. So we can take that question.
Thank you, sir, for your initial remarks. I request the journalists and media persons to introduce themselves, then ask the question. Sir, myself, Sujit Chakraborty from IAS. Please come on.
Sir, considering the situation in Northeast, socio-economic and infrastructural situation in Northeast, are there any scope to recommend special thing? Yes, I am using considering the socio-economic and overall situation of Northeast, you might have visited several Northeast already. Are there any scope to give a special recommendation for the Northeastern states? This is my one question. Second question, always there is a demand to increase the state's share of taxes. Whether this will be considered in this state? Thank you, sir.
Yes. So generally, the most of the states we have visited, practically almost all except maybe one or two, have on your second question. They have asked to raise the share of the states from 41 to 50%. Have we checked what the memorandum says? 50% also. So Tripura's recommendation also is to raise the state share, vertical share from 41 to 50%. That has been uniformly the sentiment of the states that we have visited so far. There may be one which said 45%, but largely almost all of them, many 16%. Northeast, generally the commissions have been aware of the special issues relating to the Northeast. In particular, the fact that the cost of provision of any service is much higher in the Northeast because of the hilly nature. It's not only Northeast, also you got, Himachal Pradesh, for example, Uttarakhand, hilly, which have similar kind of characteristics. And the commissions always do pay some attention to that. And one of the things the commissions have done is in a way, two criteria which have in the past worked favorably for the Northeastern Indian states is one is the forest. Generally, Northeastern states are dense in forest, and forest has been given a weight. So that generally is one criterion which helps the Northeastern states. And sometimes also on area, what some of the commissions have done is to give a minimum area, because the area-wise figure even Tripura is very, very small, about maybe 0.5% or 5% of the area. So what some commissions have done in the past is give directly 2%, assign 2% area to any state whose share is less than 2%. So that again also seems to add. So if you look at actually the per capita devolution generally you will see that per capita devolution to the northeastern states is quite high compared with the states in the plains.
Sir.
Sir, I'm Joydeep Chakraborty, news editor of Tripura Times. Sir, my question is related to the operations and maintenance of several CSS schemes in the rural and the hill areas. In Tripura, we often find that these services are down because of a lack of proper maintenance and all those things. So, is there any possibility that the Finance Commission will put some added emphasis on this rural engagement?
So, as you know, CSS are the schemes of the central government. In any case, the central government also takes the specific special circumstances of the northeastern states into account, and therefore the sharing pattern of the northeastern states is 90-10. The center bears the 90% of the cost of the CSS, and the states bear 10% of the cost. In comparison, for the other states in the country, the sharing pattern is 60-40. States give 40%, not 10%, and the center gives the 60%. So that is a part of the thinking generally of the central government also. Already.
Thank you. Sir, myself, we have here work for Northeast. So you see the debt and the committed expenditure has reduced in Tripura in last. So is there any way that for that it will get the state will get any type of incentive for that?
So that is an issue for the Finance Commission to consider, and we are certainly aware. We are certainly sensitive to do that. But anything for me to say right now as to whether this will eventually in the recommendation somehow show up or not would be premature. We are still early in that, so I can't say what the Commission will ultimately do. It will all depend on we have to complete all our considerations first, listen to every single state, and then apply our minds to the various factors that should be or that can be considered. But it's certainly something that so past commissions have also looked at, because how much the states are helping themselves. Even starting from the first Finance Commission, it has made that comment. Go back and read the report that how much the states are helping themselves ought to be an issue as well.
Sir, myself Tushar Acharya from ANI. Sir, my one question is,
Sorry, where are you?
sir, myself here. Sir, question is what your commission has found in comparison development in comparison to the last report of the commission.
In terms of development.
In terms of changes mainly, the notable changes.
Yeah.
And one more question is that, sir, how close is your expectation with the share of the state of Tripura? Thank you.
So, I can't say anything about the share of Tripura because I can't say anything about the share of any other state either. Because that's a decision which will be a difficult one. As you can imagine, all states are competing, and you must have, if you're reading of the newspapers, there are many of the states, whichever states are saying that a lot of diversion of what we actually generated revenue is being done to the poorer states, and also these are all contributing issues. So to that I can't say very much. What the share should probably. As regards the development of Tripura, that's generally not the center of discussion for the commissions, because we are more interested in the financial side, how the finances are shaping up, about which I spoke already. I can give you my own observation on Tripura. So it's not a comparison of what we're being said or but as an economist, I feel. So generally, Tripura is a well-managed state. One of the very interesting features of Tripura is that this state now is much less dependent on agriculture, at least in terms of the workforce. nationally, about 45-46% of the workforce in India is in agriculture. Tripura is close to about 30-31%. So that, when we think of economic transformation, one of the things we think is, how much urbanization is happening and how much the transition out of agriculture into industry and services is happening. Because generally, the productivity, labor productivity output per worker in agriculture tends to be lower than in industry and services. So there is an effort, therefore, there is an underlying objective that the workforce be moved out of agriculture into industry and services. On that transition, certainly Tripura is farther along than India is, but it's also because of the other disadvantages. Its per capita income is a little bit lower than the average of India, but it seems to be catching up. So in general, I read the situation in Tripura very positively and optimistically, and particularly when also we compare with the other northeastern states, Tripura is certainly coming along quite well.
We will have last question.
Sir, yes, this is Kiran Bhogik from Research Today. Sir, what about the possibilities to get more fund under disaster mitigation as the state Tripura comes under Zone 5?
So we had discussion on it, and particularly issues of flood were highlighted by the government of Tripura. At the same time, Tripura also said that they have developed a very good system of dealing with floods, and there is a kind of disaster management center where they can monitor the situation in real time and all. So in any case, it did make a switch on that front. That part of it has to do with certain kinds of certain forms of disasters which were included by the 15th Finance Commission in its devolution. It used an index for disaster relief index, DRI, and there are different states have said that that index fully captures their specific situation, and that's something that the Tripura government also said. So we are certainly looking very open to including other forms of disaster which afflict the states but are not a part of the DRI currently. But for us, the challenge also is that we have to have the data on which there will not be, on which there will be general agreements, and they are available for all the states. Because in the horizontal devolution, we have to first have the reliable data, and we have to have those data for all the states for inclusion. So we're open. We have also asked the state to give us some further feedback on that.
Sir, can I ask one question?
PTA.
Yeah, please.
This
Last question.
I am Provik Shi, special correspondent of PTA. So my question is that there has been claim and counter claim about the pay structure of the state. During the 15th Finance Commission, they are deprived of central CPC. Now they are expecting whether they will get a central CPC or not. Can they expect that this 16th Finance Commission will allocate or recommend sufficient funds so that they can get the salary as part of the central government?
So in his presentation, the government of Tripura has mentioned the fact of the Finance Commission having been appointed, and in its calculations of expenditures, it has included one line for states give the commission also their estimates of revenues and expenditures, and then whatever is the shortage of revenues that is left over, which is not covered by the estimated expenditures for the years of the award. So likewise, the Tripura government has given us in its memorandum its estimates of revenues and expenditures for the years 2026-27 to 2030-31. This is the award period of the 16th Finance Commission. And in estimating the expenditures for that, it has included a line also on the fact that this eighth pay commission may have on its expenditures. So it is in there. What will be the decision of this Finance Commission remains to be seen. As I have said before, that's something that I can't tell you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman and members of the Commission. I've taken our time to bring the media. I would also like to thank all the media persons who have gathered here in the Thank you.
মশলা হাতে নয় চামচে তুলুন।